Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Coinbase. It is time for another update, and on this chart we have been tracking this yellow scenario as our main interpretation ever since breaking the relevant levels of support within a much smaller time frame within this push to the downside at the $330 level. Yeah, ever since we formed this high, we knew that a break below the $330 level was going to signal that this structure is much more likely to extend to much lower prices. Now, if you want, you can go back and watch our videos from this period, from when we were looking for an area of resistance. We actually even have this here still on the chart, and we have been looking for continuation to higher prices against that level of support. But this is not a bearish scenario actually, and it may look bad, but if we zoom out, we have an initial 5-wave move to the upside within this idea of a leading diagonal, where we have a wave 1 in place and we are looking for the wave 2 correction into the levels between the $161.5 all the way down to the $55 level, and we are looking to actually create the reversal in a wave 3 from this area, which is expected to be even much stronger than this initial wave 1 to the upside. Now, I could even provide you an ideal target at this point, but only assuming a wave 2 bottom would be in place, because if we get a reset of the wave 2 correction, we form another low within this area in this wave 2, I would have to readjust our targets for the wave 3, and currently this sits at that $5,350 level. It seems insane. It is around that area. I might have not drawn this perfectly, but still, this is the ideal target for the wave 3. Now, don't expect this to form overnight, to form maybe even within 1 year or so. Could take even a decade to build the entire structure, but based on the current bottom we have within this wave 2, this is our expectation. Now, let's move into the actual structure here. Let's move into actually tracking this correction to the downside that we have been considering for quite a while already. And we have as our main interpretation this idea of an ABC pattern. Well, if we are to follow through within this white structure, I would probably prefer that we extend to lower prices. It is technically possible for me to consider this a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, but it's probably a less likely interpretation compared to looking for extensions to even lower lows within this area. Although, if we manage to break the relevant levels of resistance, I am open to having my mind changed if we happen to showcase evidence that suggests this extension to even lower prices not to be the case anymore. And for that, I will provide you an area of resistance in a moment, but I wanted to also show you what we have been tracking as an alternative scenario in the previous video as well, because we were looking for a potential reversal even earlier. Yeah, we had here a potential complete 5-wave structure in this area in the wave C, and we were looking for a potential breakout, but once again we needed evidence and we needed to hold relevant levels of support internally for this to be able to be tracked as a reliable structure. And yeah, the break below the $233 level would have already signaled strongly that this structure was going to extend even lower, and not only that, we even had a 3-wave pattern to the upside into an internal area of resistance. This, paired with the break of the area of support, was already a strong suggestion that we would extend even lower. Now, don't get me wrong, that wasn't suggesting that we needed to extend this hard, yeah? We didn't need to push with such strength to even lower prices, but it so happens that this took place, this extension even accelerated, and now we need to consider other ideas to these interpretations. Now, I want to also highlight that it is possible at this point to form a bottom within this wave 2 in yellow at any point. Within a WXY structure is probably my preferred interpretation, especially as long as we don't form any additional lows, but I would be cautious to look for a bottom just yet, as we don't have the evidence that it took place. Now, in this idea of a WXY pattern, I would be looking for an ABC structure to have taken place within this wave Y. In my preferred interpretation, personally, I am looking still at the white structure where I would consider this to still need to extend even lower within one way or the other. And as the main scenario, I would probably consider this to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, where I would consider, where I would watch out for even an additional low within this wave 3 to the downside. And again, this is going to continue within our white structure. And within this wave 3, I'm looking for an A, B, C pattern, as within the white structure, within the white wave C, I'm tracking an ending diagonal. Now, the thing is, within this wave C of this ending diagonal, I'm actually looking for an impulse to take place ideally based on the internal structure itself. So I would be watching here this idea of a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. And for this wave 4 correction, I would be watching the 50% retracement as the last level of resistance, the level that would signal to us, if broken, that something potentially more bullish would be going on. This is not a direct breakout sign. This does not guarantee that we have formed the bottom in the wave 2 in yellow, but it is the stepping stone. So we are watching here the $191.5 level for a signal that this movement to the downside, this supposed wave C in white, is not going to extend lower, or at least is not going to extend lower within an impulse. I find it unlikely to extend lower at all if we break the 50% retracement, to be honest. If we don't build this within an impulse, I would doubt this structure to be forming, and I would look for a slightly different scenario, but that's another story that I will tell you in a moment, because I want to also provide you the last level of resistance that would signal to us that this overall wave to the downside would be complete, because there is still a chance we may even be building an initial 5-wave pattern in this structure. Now, I want to take a moment to highlight this larger area of support in yellow, because this is actually a high quality structure in my opinion. This can be considered an accumulation area, and as we have pushed into these structural support levels, we have also pushed into this area of support, potentially completing our larger time frame correction. Remember what we have as an ideal target for the wave 3. Now, sure, it's based on the current level of the wave 2. If it extends lower, the target would also need to be lower. Minor details. We are still looking for a lot of potential growth, a lot of room that is available for this chart to develop within. And I also wanted to mention our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you such high quality structures even long before we reach those areas of support. I believe we have quite a comprehensive, quite a nice list already that we will send out this week, and you will be able to follow those opportunities along with us on YouTube, where we even more clearly define the levels of support, the areas of accumulation, and the levels where the probabilities strongly shift towards a more likely failure of the interpretation, where we know that, okay, this didn't work out. Not every single trade is going to work out ever, but we will have that clearly defined, because a lot of people actually struggle with identifying losers and let them run and lose more and more and more. When you get your funds stuck, you get your money stuck in positions that aren't going to come back to the prices you invested at for many, many years. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, the link for sign up is in the description. It is completely free, and there is no credit card required or anything like that. It's truly free. It comes at no cost to you. We just need the email information to send out the list to you as well. And now let's move back to the chart. So here within this structure, once again, I'm considering this to be a highly relevant accumulation area, and I'm looking ideally for at least one more low within this wave 3 to the downside in white, and potentially even an additional low afterwards. Now, there is a caveat, because if we extend lower within this wave C in white, I would actually strongly expect that we would extend lower afterwards within the next wave 5 to the downside. Yeah, this wave 5 in white that would follow after the wave 4 correction. Now, at this point, we are looking at actually quite a healthy push to the upside, but so far we only have a 3-wave pattern, because we had here an initial 5-wave move to the upside that could have been considered for a potential 1-2 setup. It wasn't going to be the healthiest one, but we are looking now at a potential A, B, C structure that could take place within this wave 4. Again, the break above the $191 level would signal to us strongly that a more substantial bottom would be in place, that this wave 4 would have failed to generate the fifth wave to extend to even lower prices, and we would need to track a different interpretation because this would be invalidated. Now, before I provide you the next area of resistance and actually the ultimate area of resistance for this larger wave to the downside, I also wanted to highlight here the ideal target for this ABC structure in this area, and that is the 100% extension of the wave A, which sits right at the $190.5 level. Consider I am tracking this as an overshoot. Yeah, this is part of the correction in this wave B in a WXY pattern, and this is an ABC pattern we are following. And based on the current structure within this area, I wouldn't be surprised if we honestly break this area of resistance, this 50% retracement. But again, this is not an indication that a wave 2 bottom is in place. There would be many scenarios in which we would still be able to have a reset of this wave 2, but it would be a strong initial sign that a more substantial push is going to occur, especially if we push here into the 138.2% extension of this initial push to the upside, this initial wave. We would be able to look for this to be a 1, 2, 3 and look for a wave 4 correction and a wave 5 to build an initial 5-wave pattern that would provide us an additional confirmation and an additional area of accumulation that could actually become very interesting, but it would probably be for the best at the moment to let it play, to let it reach this level and build this initial 5-wave move to the upside if we are to look for something potentially more bullish indeed. Now, in terms of this push to the upside, I would be watching for a 5-wave pattern to occur within this area. In this structure, I would probably prefer to look for a wave 4 correction and a 5th wave to form before we would consider a top to be in place even within a wave C, but I cannot provide you a too relevant area of support, as within this structure we seem to be still extending to higher prices at this very moment, so this area of support would need to shift higher along with this structure to the upside. Now, there are a couple of ways we could interpret this. I would ideally hold the $171.6, the 50% retracement, to extend within an impulse in this area, although I could also see this to be an ABC pattern within an ending diagonal as well. That would really be no issue for us to consider as a possible interpretation. But again, it's still a moving target. Yeah, we have already pushed higher, and I would still be focused on a large time frame, at least the larger area of resistance here in white. Now, for the breakthrough of this wave to the downside, so we cannot extend to lower prices within this, I would need to consider the possibility of having a leading diagonal form instead of a 3-wave pattern in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now, I have to break this expectation, this interpretation, for a signal that we won't build a 5-wave pattern. And if we do build such a structure, I would be looking for a larger 3-wave correction and then at the very least another 5-wave move to the downside to complete a larger 3-wave correction within this larger wave 2 in yellow. Remember, the wave 2 is expected to be a 3-wave pattern. We cannot be looking for a bottom with high probabilities if we form an initial 5-wave move to the downside. And for this expectation, we will be tracking here this area of resistance all the way up to the $268.6, where the break above this level would be my strong suggestion that a more substantial bottom within this structure would be in place. Whether it is within a WXY, whether it is within an ABC pattern, doesn't even matter at that point, because we would be looking for this wave to the downside to be complete from a higher degree perspective, yeah, a one step higher time frame perspective. Now, we would still be able to look for continuation to lower prices within this wave 2, even at that point, but it would be our signal that we will not build an initial 5-wave pattern, and it would be our second degree of confirmation by breaking relevant levels of resistance that a more substantial bottom is in place. For now, the first one is still to be taken. The $191.5 is still up there, and we want to see the break of it for a signal that this structure in white is not going to extend, and we are looking at least for the larger area of resistance, where we would only require one additional low before a more substantial relief rally. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you enjoy our content in general, you can even check out our channel membership. The link is in the description, or you can even click the join button. And I would like to know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.